Hi everyone, Happy New Year, Happy 2020, Happy New Decade. I feel like this decade is all about clarity and vision. So I wanted to share with you all what we're working with this month and the beginning of this new year, new decade in our chromatic community. So twofold in terms of our sort of the actions that we're working with and then the theme that we're working with. So the theme that we're working with is the unity and the harmony between conscious action and then the surrender to what is out of our control, the letting go of an outcome. And I think that's extremely important and pertinent and poignant when a new year arises, because we all tend to have certain intentions and, whether you do resolutions or goals, but really the important piece of any kind of intention is placing action to that, but understanding what is in our control and creating that fire of what we can control, what we can take conscious action towards, but then recognizing and paying attention to what we have to surrender to, what is outside of us that is not in our control. And that frees us up to really connect with that inner fire, that willpower, that kind of get it done kind of mindset, and gives us that freedom with that intention, with that conscious action to create and live in possibility and purpose and intentions. So I wanted to share with you guys, one of the things we're working with, sorry, I'm cutting off the top of my head, is still our abdominal muscles. So we worked with that last month, but I wanted this month to talk to you guys a little bit about the transverse abdominis, which is one of the deepest abdominal muscles. It's really important for support, structure. And so, when I think about fire, I think of kind of the depths of like a really well made and sustaining burning that can carry us forward, right? And that tending to that fire, that's what's in our control. And so I think the transverse abdominis is a really important muscle that can represent that. But just on a physical level, it provides incredible support to our body. It's really important for helping with a stable and happy low back. And if you think about, so we have a lot of abdominal muscles, but the transverse abdominis, essentially, it's like, I associate it with looking like a cummerbund, like a tuxedo cummerbund. It kind of spans across this way, but it's really deep. It's under all of our superficial abdominal muscles. And I think it's a really important one to make sure we can access and strengthen, because a lot of people don't even know what it is or where it is or how to access it. In times when I've struggled with some low back pain, I had a pretty severe low back injury as a competitive athlete, and this is something that I always turn to when my back acts up, is making sure that my transverse abdominis is strong. So I'm gonna call the transverse abdominis, because it's a bit of a mouthful, the TVA. So one of the exercises, I'm gonna show you guys a couple. They're really simple but very powerful. So if you come to your back, you can start with your feet on the floor. And the best way I find and to access the transverse abdominis is if you put your hands on your hip bones, like those little bony knobs, and then you bring your fingers just to the inside to where it kind of dips down and is soft. And then you can cough or laugh, either way, and you'll feel the TVA, the transverse abdominis, come up and meet your fingers. Now you want to try to do that without pushing your other abdominal muscles forward. So you kind of, again, make that coughing. And then see if you can keep that TVA contracted and active while pulling, kind of your belly button towards your spine. So you almost might feel like you're pushing your low back into the ground. And then you're going to lift up your feet. That's kind of the hard part. One of the hardest parts is to remember to breathe. So you want to remember to breathe. And you can keep checking in by putting your fingers in that spot. As long as you feel the action of that TVA and it's there, then you're good. Just make sure you keep breathing. And you're going to take your hands, you're going to place them on your thighs, and you're going to push your legs as if you're trying to draw your femur bones, your thigh bones, up towards the ceiling while keeping that TVA active. And you do that for about 60 seconds. Again, the key is to breathe. I always start shaking a little bit when I do this. So you're going to hold that for 60 seconds. I'm not going to do that right now. And then you can bring the feet down and then relax. Step 2, same thing. You can use your fingers if that's a good, helpful, kind of tactical thing to remind you how the TVA feels when it's activated. And again, if you need to cough or laugh to activate it. And then I'm just going to slowly lift up my right leg, bring it back down, while keeping the transverse abdominis, the TVA, engaged. Right down. And you can just keep going back and forth, maybe 10 times each side. And then release and relax. Let everything soften. Then the third piece to this is, again, you cough or laugh, activate the TVA, push into your feet, and then you're going to lift your pelvis up. This gets a little bit harder to access the TVA. And again, you can cough even here if you feel like you've lost it. I just lost it. There we go, breathing. And then you're going to try to lift one foot up at a time here. This is a little bit more challenging. So again, simple, but not necessarily easy. And you'll feel like a fire start to burn deep in your abdominal muscles. So again, you can alternate about 10 times each side. Bring the pelvis down, relax. There we go. So those are great things to do even every day if you can, to stabilize the transverse abdominis, to really kind of tap into your willpower and your fire. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, Happy New Year, Happy 2020, Happy New Decade. Mwah.